Ride the signal through the unknown. This is the cryptic current.
Another Earth. Do you see the blue planet floating in the sky? It is a mysterious planet that suddenly appeared. Through observation, scientists discovered that this planet has a geological structure identical to Earth, so humans named it Earth 2. The appearance of Earth 2 made humans both excited and fearful. Everyone is eager to know if life exists there. If so, would they become friends or enemies of humans? Rhoda, the female protagonist in the film, is always troubled by this issue. She is an astronomy enthusiast, extremely curious about everything in the universe. Although only 17 years old, Rhoda received an acceptance letter from a prestigious technology institute. A bright future awaits ahead. At the graduation ceremony, Rhoda drank too much. On the way home, she drove while looking up at Earth 2 in the sky. In an inebriated state and at high speed, Rhoda unfortunately crashed into a black sedan. At that time, the family in the car was stopped at an intersection waiting for the green light. The loud crash shattered the silence of the late night and destroyed a happy family. Because Rhoda was a minor, she was sentenced to 4 years in prison after the accident. But that happy family of 4, 3 people died, including the pregnant wife and the young son. Only the male protagonist John survived, with an insurmountable mental breakdown. 4 years later, Rhoda was released from prison. From then on she became a completely different person, living secluded in unending torment and even attempting suicide but failing. At that very moment, NASA was recruiting volunteers to explore Earth 2. Just by participating in an essay competition, writing about the reasons for, there was hope of winning a precious spaceship ticket. With curiosity about the universe and a desire to escape reality, after thinking for a long time, Rhoda finally entered that competition. And then she became the lucky one, obtaining the ticket to Earth 2. One evening, hearing a news report on the progress of research related to Earth 2, scientists discovered that everything on Earth 2 is identical to our Earth. One female scientist even managed to communicate with her counterpart there. The two had very similar experiences, as if looking at a mirror. Scientists further pointed out that since 4 years ago, when the two Earths became visible to each other, this mirror image had been broken, making both worlds different. This conclusion gave the female protagonist hope for her life once again. The possibility of redemption, that on another Earth she did not drink and caused the accident. John's wife and child were still alive, and so Rhoda decided to give her ticket to Earth 2 to John, so he could go to another world to seek hope. Another Earth. Many of its scenes make viewers reflect deeply, both about humanity and the vast universe. In our Milky Way galaxy, scientists have found over 200 billion stars, meaning there are at least trillions of planets. Recently, NASA also reported finding a planet identical to Earth. So, how bustling is the vast space up there? Is there another Earth like us in it? Previously, we explored the magical world of the deep sea together. Today, let's follow space equipment to find another us in the vast and mysterious universe. Earth 2. Planet Kepler 1649c. Hello everyone, I'm Miss Ruby. In April 2020, NASA announced they had discovered a planet almost identical to our Earth, named Kepler 1649c. This planet is 300 light-years away from Earth, found by the Kepler Space Telescope, initially called the Kepler Planet. In a recent video, we learned about the James Webb Telescope, the most powerful space telescope currently specialized for observing the cosmic disk. Meanwhile, this Kepler Space Telescope is specialized for searching for extraterrestrial civilizations. Kepler was a 17th-century German astronomer, contemporary with Galileo. Kepler is most famous for Kepler's laws. The content of these laws is not the focus today. But importantly, Newton built upon hints from Kepler's laws to develop the law of universal gravitation. The Kepler telescope was launched into space in 2009 and ceased operations in 2018 after 9 years of work. The Kepler Space Telescope, along with the Harpo telescope, are both visible light telescopes. Because it's a visible light telescope, it cannot observe too far or too many things. Only able to see stars that emit light. It is mainly used to search for rocky planets, also known as Earth-like planets in the Milky Way. But planets do not emit light themselves, that's correct. Theoretically, visible light telescopes are not meant for finding this type of planet. But it uses a special method called the transit photometry method. In other words, the stars themselves emit light, and it only observes that star. Under normal conditions, the star always shines steadily. But when another planet passes in front, part of the light is blocked. This change in the light curve will be detected by the telescope. And it knows there is a planet there. Even though the change is very small, it can still be captured. Moreover, through the degree and timing of the light curve change, it can calculate the mass, diameter size, orbital period, and the orbital radius around the star of that planet. Of course, changes in the star's light curve could also be due to other reasons. So not every light change is definitely caused by a planet passing by. Sometimes, multiple different planets' light pass by simultaneously. This light curve change is extremely complex, so the transit photometry method must be verified based on careful observation and calculation. This calculation and verification work is partly handled by the Kepler telescope itself. It performs preliminary filtering first. The 1649c planet we're talking about was initially eliminated in the first filtering. It also had its distant moments. After the Kepler satellite ceased operations, astronomers collected all its data. Then, they conducted manual checks and discovered this rocky planet. That is, transmitting the signal to the ground and then checking. Astronomers will calculate and compare. Therefore, the discovery of this star can be said to be a stroke of luck for us. While operating, the Kepler telescope observed over 100,000 stars simultaneously. Please note, simultaneously observing over 100,000 stars. It recorded all their light. Just imagine how massive this amount of data is. Throughout its entire career, the Kepler telescope discovered a total of 2,400 stars. Among them, only about 20 rocky planets had the potential to support life. Today, I will introduce you to some planets extremely similar to Earth. The first planet is exactly the 1649c we're talking about. When discovered in 2020, NASA stated this is the most Earth-like planet found to date. Its size is 1.06 times larger than Earth, almost identical. The amount of light it receives from its host star is about 75% of what Earth receives from the Sun. This means on this planet, the whole day feels like twilight. The planet's average temperature is minus 39 degrees Celsius. You might think that's too cold, right? Actually, it's not necessarily, because this average temperature is calculated only based on the amount of light it receives, without considering factors like atmosphere, reflection, or greenhouse effect. All these factors are excluded from the calculation. It hasn't been determined yet whether it has an atmosphere. If it does, the actual temperature would definitely be higher than this though. If applying the same calculation method, Earth's average temperature would be minus 18 degrees Celsius. So you see, minus 39 degrees isn't really a big problem, right? Thanks to the atmosphere, Earth's actual average temperature is about 15 degrees Celsius. In other words, the difference between calculated and actual temperature is 33 degrees. If this planet has an atmosphere and the temperature increases by 33 degrees, it would be close to 0 degrees Celsius. Ideal conditions for life. We would see the climate here being much cooler than Earth's. From a cosmic perspective, this difference is almost negligible. If its temperature is at this level, there's a high possibility of liquid water existing on the surface. Actually, water isn't rare in the universe. Humans have discovered many planets with water. However, liquid water hasn't been found yet. It usually exists as extremely hot water vapor, or ice on planets. Only when the temperature is near 0 degrees Celsius or in Earth-like environments can liquid water exist. From this perspective, Kepler 1649c's temperature is extremely rare. Its position is also within a habitable zone around its host star. By the way, from a deeper perspective, in the entire solar system, only Earth and Venus are within the habitable zone. Actually in this zone, Kepler 1649c. Of course, the prerequisite is that it must have an atmosphere. Without an atmosphere, it might be like the Moon. Even though it's in a habitable zone, temperatures could reach over 200 degrees Celsius during the day, and below minus 200 degrees Celsius at night, with an average of 39 degrees Celsius. If so, it would be meaningless, and currently there's another case. That is, in its orbit there's another rocky planet of similar size. This case is quite similar to Earth, where there's also Venus outside, with a size nearly equal to Earth. This situation is completely similar. This rocky planet plays an important role in stabilizing its orbit. The more stable the orbit, the higher the possibility of life existing. These points are extremely similar to Earth. It says that the information about Kepler 1649c currently isn't really clear and needs further observation. Besides Kepler 1649c, NASA has also discovered some other rocky planets. Let's move on to the next planet. This planet was discovered on January 6, 2015, 470 light-years from Earth, slightly farther than the planet just mentioned. The Earth Similarity Index reached 0.88. The Earth Similarity Index is an index used to measure the degree of similarity of a planet to Earth, primarily based on radius, density, escape velocity, surface temperature combined with weighting factors for calculation. This index ranges from 0 to 1. The closer to 1, the more similar to Earth. So, are the planets discovered in a universe so far similar to Earth? You can almost know by looking at this picture. The closer to the center, the more similar. You will see that the number of similar ones is most are not similar, meaning over 90% are almost none. Therefore, 0.88 is currently confirmed as the highest index among rocky planets. Venus is called Earth's twin, but only reached 0.78, so 0.88 is too high. This planet 438b is also a rocky planet 12% larger than Earth. It orbits a red dwarf star at a close distance, roughly half the distance from Mercury to the Sun. However, because this red dwarf star is extremely weak, the light emitted is not strong, so its surface temperature is not high. It is also located in a habitable zone of this red dwarf star. After calculation, its average surface temperature is about 3 degrees, very likely to have liquid water. Therefore, as soon as this planet was discovered in 2015, NASA considered it the most suitable planet for life to date. In fact, to find a planet suitable for life requires some conditions. Among them, the most important is having liquid water. Moreover, the water cannot be little, preferably as much as an ocean. But unfortunately, 10 months after discovering this planet, that is, in November 2015, the research team stated, there might be no life on this planet. Why is that? Because its sun erupts once every less than 100 days, emitting an extremely strong solar wind. It is also very close to that star, with such a strong solar wind, and such a close distance. If there is water there, it would be blown dry, and the atmosphere would be blown away. Without an atmosphere, all organisms there would be exposed to ultraviolet rays and die, eventually turning into a place almost like a dead star. Actually, there is another possibility that could make it habitable, even with such strong eruptions, which is having an extremely strong magnetic field. If there is a magnetic field, the solar wind cannot blow in. The atmosphere and water would not be blown dry, and life could still be possible there. Let's talk about the next planet. This is a rocky planet closest to us, only about 4.2 light-years away. The planets mentioned earlier are all hundreds of light-years away. This planet is only 4.2 light-years away. If we could travel at the speed of light in the future, it would only take 4.2 light-years to get there. It seems the calendar has indeed become reality. In August 2016, the European Southern Observatory announced that they had discovered a rocky planet orbiting Proxima Centauri, named Proxima Centauri b. What do the letters B or C after the name mean? Do they indicate which planet it is? B is the first planet, while the star is A. The planets around it are counted starting from B as the first. 1649c mentioned earlier is the second. There is still another planet in front of it. This Proxima Centauri b is 30% larger than Earth, with an Earth similarity index of 0.87. This planet is also located in Proxima Centauri's habitable zone. Proxima Centauri is a red dwarf star 1/10 the size of the Sun. Its light is very faint, so even though it's very close to us, from Earth, we cannot see it with the naked eye or ordinary telescopes. Because it's very close to Proxima Centauri, its orbital period is extremely short, less than 12 days. Also, due to being too close to the star, it's very likely tidally locked, meaning one side always faces the star, just like the Moon. In this case, conditions are not favorable for life to develop. Let's move on to the next planet. That is the first planet of star Kepler 452, discovered by NASA in 2015, 1,400 light-years from Earth. Its Earth similarity index reaches 0.84. Its radius is 1.6 times that of Earth, slightly larger. Surface gravity is twice that of Earth, so if you weigh 75 kilograms, on this planet you would weigh about 150 kilograms, and could lose weight very quickly. Its sun is slightly larger than our sun. Its orbital period is longer than Earth's, 385 days per year. The estimated average surface temperature is about 12 degrees Celsius. If it had an atmosphere similar to Earth's, the temperature would be around 20 degrees Celsius. Because the environment is so suitable for life since its discovery, the SETI program has targeted it. This is a program specifically searching for extraterrestrial civilization, using the Allen Telescope array to observe this planet, trying to capture unnatural radio signals from there. In other words, because the environment is so good, there's a high possibility of intelligent life, and they might emit radio signals. The Allen Telescope array continues to observe it. If there's any radio signal at all, we could capture it. Additionally, the newly launched James Webb Telescope also plans more detailed observations of it. But like being splashed with cold water, this planet is 1,400 light-years away from us, meaning even if there are radio signals there, a simple hello would take 1,400 years to reach us. Then waiting for our reply would take another 1,400 years. So basically communication is impossible. The fastest spacecraft currently is Voyager, traveling at 17 kilometers per second. It would take 25 million years to get there, so it's not feasible. No matter how Earth-like the planet is or how good the environment. Let's move on to the next planet. These are two planets in the same star system. How far are they from us? 1,200 light-years from Earth, also quite far. The radius of 62e is about 1.6 times that of Earth, while 62f is about 1.4 times. They're all rocky planets. Currently, the Kepler 62 star system has discovered a total of 5 planets, including 4 planets with sizes comparable to Earth, with E and F located in a habitable zone. The predicted average surface temperature at 62e is -3 degrees Celsius, while 62f is so compared to F, E is more suitable for life. Based on prediction models, both of these planets may have vast oceans, and F might even be completely covered by sea. Therefore, if life exists, it would certainly be water-based organisms. Moreover, through basic surveys, it has been determined that 62e has a fairly thick cloud layer, and also has an atmosphere, so its surface temperature is very suitable for life to develop. Plus, there is so much water. The Earth similarity index of 62e is 0.83, while 62f is 0.69. 0.69 may not sound high, but it's actually higher than Mars. Mars only has 0.66. Note that both 62e and 62f are larger than Earth, but not too large. In astronomy, this type is called a super-Earth, meaning a larger version of Earth. It seems that super-Earths have a higher potential for life, because larger mass can retain an atmosphere, but not too large. If too large, everything would be pressed to the ground by gravity, unable to move. At the same time, gravity would attract surrounding meteor fragments, and they would float in the air, making it impossible to see outside clearly. The entire atmosphere would be hazy, like a fog, which is not good. Conversely, if the planet is too small, it's also not good. If the planet is small, gravity is weak, unable to hold an atmosphere. And with just one jump, you could fly into space. That would be difficult, right? Therefore, it's best to find a super-Earth slightly larger than Earth. Let's move on to the next planet. This planet was not discovered by Kepler, but by Chappus. 20 light-years away from Earth. What about the similarity index? Its similarity index is 0.86. It was discovered by a commercial ground-based telescope, located at the La Silla Observatory in Chile. Named the Transiting Planets and Planetesimal Small Telescope. The initials of this telescope spell out Chappus. One characteristic of the Chappus 1 star system, including Chappus 1e, is that it has 7 planets. But these 7 planets are all similar in size to Earth, all looking alike. Because their sun is very small, these 7 planets are all very close to their sun. The farthest planet is only 1/3 the distance from Mercury to the sun. Because their sun is very weak, even at such a close distance. These planets are not too hot. Among them, 3 planets D, E, F are in the habitable zone, especially E. If it has an atmosphere, its average surface temperature is about 15 degrees Celsius. However, it has a major problem. Its orbital speed around the star is too fast. The year is only 6 days, so it might also be tidally locked. Once tidally locked, it would be difficult to inhabit. We just mentioned the first factor in finding a habitable planet is water. The second factor is its orbital size. The ideal distance is similar to Earth's. If too close, the planet is prone to tidal locking. If too far, it will be distant from the sun and likely freeze. Moreover, the orbit must be nearly circular. If elliptical, the changing distance causes significant temperature fluctuations, which is unstable. Of course, it doesn't need to be perfect, just not too flat nonetheless. Now we come to the final planet, which is extremely special. This is the planet with the highest Earth similarity index ever discovered. The planets we discussed earlier had a highest index of 0.88, right? Actually, this one is higher, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. Its Earth similarity index is 0.98. It's really almost a copy of Earth. The shape is also very similar. This is an illustration, not certain. If it really is like this is the parallel version of Earth in the universe. This planet was also discovered by the Kepler telescope. Kepler. This is the key point. Its name is Koi 4878.01 because it hasn't been confirmed. After confirmation, it will become Kepler 4878b. So how similar is it to Earth? First, its sun is nearly identical to our sun. The brightness and size are comparable. Second, its radius and Earth's are almost equal, about 1.04 times. Slightly larger but not significant. The distance from it to its sun is similar to our distance from the sun. It's quite far from us, 1075 light-years, also a bit far. Therefore, the light energy it receives from its sun is almost the same as the solar energy we receive from the sun. In other words, life there wouldn't be much different from Earth. Its average surface temperature is about 15 degrees Celsius. Earth's is 18 degrees Celsius, nearly equivalent. Calculating all this data overall, the similarity index reaches an astonishing 98%. However, its data is currently unconfirmed and needs human verification. After confirmation, NASA will declare this as another Earth. Only then can it be proven to be a second Earth. The rocky planets we mentioned earlier are all evaluated based on how similar they are to Earth. But in reality, whether it itself is suitable for habitation depends on many external conditions. For example, a lifespan of its sun. In other words, no matter how good and Earth-like its environment is, if its sun has too short a lifespan, exploding before long, then life cannot develop there. Best is such a star must exist stably for billions of years, even tens of billions of years. Another thing is having a suitable satellite, like the Moon. Above, we discussed how this planet is similar, in what ways. T have a good moon around it, that. The Moon plays an extremely important role in the formation of life on Earth. due to the moon's gravitational pull on Earth slowing down its rotation speed. If this planet's rotation speed were too fast, violent storms would occur, unsuitable for life to develop. Moreover, tidal forces from the moon help move liquid iron in Earth's core, thereby generating a magnetic field that prevents the atmosphere from being blown away by sun. In other words, for a planet to have life, it must have a hot core, meaning it must still be active itself, like the moon or Mars, which are cooled planets. Life cannot exist on them. Therefore, when considering these external conditions, you will see that the rocky planets we have just discovered, no matter how similar to Earth, are only analogous. Becoming a second Earth is extremely difficult. In fact, before starting the observation plan with the Kepler telescope, astronomers were often quite optimistic. They said that finding a planet similar to Earth might not be difficult, because after all, in our Milky Way galaxy, there are 200 billion stars. Around each star there could be several planets. In other words, there would be trillions of planets in the Milky Way. From these trillions of planets, finding one similar to Earth shouldn't be too difficult. Now, 9 years have passed. Astronomers often think it seems unlikely. Therefore, Earth might be a unique existence in the universe. It's really difficult for planets to meet these conditions. In other words, Earth has a hot core, and has the moon around it. Everyone, think about it. Kepler observed 100,000 stars for 9 years, found 2,400 similar planets. After filtering, only a few remained. Filtering again, nothing was left, all had problems. However, having seen this far, do you notice any issues? Earth is very likely the only existence, but not necessarily the only one. Earth is very special, suitable for human living conditions. But personally, sharing up to this point, 2 issues arise. First, other planets, even if not suitable for human living conditions. Mean there. Rather, the life there would adapt to specific conditions, different from us humans. Second, if everything that appears has a reason, then what is the purpose of Earth being so special? What purpose does it serve? Hope you will discuss these 2 issues with us in the comments section below the video. And our sharing for today will pause here. If you found this video useful, don't forget to share it with a friend. And watch together. Thank you all very much. Hello and see you again. Subscribe to the...
If the signal hooked you, subscribe and catch the next ripple.